I want to know where the leadership is. We had Congressman Mo Brooks, who is a Republican from Alabama. He said the truth. He said, look, I'm going to be challenging these objectors, these electors. He's going to make an objection. Not one senator has come forward to support that yet. So we've got litigation in North Carolina. We have litigation in Colorado. We have litigation in Pennsylvania to clean up the rolls. And in terms of dealing with the current election crisis, we have dozens of FOIAs, open records requests across the land in these battleground states to figure out what went on. Hopefully we can get documents sooner than later. I don't want to overstate how quickly those documents can come out. But even by sending in the requests, we put the government officials on notice. Don't mess with the documents. Don't mess with the truth. Because if left to their own devices, as you know, documents will disappear. But once you send a FOIA request on in there, it pressures the agencies to maintain the records. So the state legislatures have independent authority. And then, of course, Congress, in the end, gets the vote on the electors. And the major media won't tell you this. I've told you this before. I'm going to tell you again, because I know we have always new viewers, and I want to remind you what the Constitution and the law is. And the Constitution vests authority in Congress in terms of blessing and essentially blessing the Electoral College outcome. So there could be a few issues that come before Congress. You could have dueling slates of electors. Let's say in Pennsylvania, the Democrat governor authorizes a slate that reflects that Joe Biden won, and the Republican legislature authorizes a slate that supports President Trump's election victory. Then it goes to Congress, and they have to decide which slate to take up, right? And the law, it's not really clear as to how they should figure that out. Federal law suggests they have to basically come down on the side of the slate certified by the chief executive. Well, A, interpretation as to what executive means, and then B, as I highlighted with the Constitution, that could be unconstitutional in the sense that the Congress vests the power in the state legislature, not the chief executive of a state or commonwealth. So that's an interesting question, isn't it? And then let's say that all these electors just went to Congress as is. Let's say it's the votes go, nothing gets changed in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. None of the litigation works. The legislatures fail to act. But ultimately, Congress can decide, and they can look at Pennsylvania, they can look at Georgia, and they can say, hey, look, all these issues, we can't trust the outcome of those elections. Those mail-in ballots were handled inappropriately, contrary to state law, that raised civil rights concerns. And so we're going to challenge the ballots. So what happens, according to law, is that you need one objector from Congress, from the House, and one objector from the Senate. And then they go their separate ways to two bodies because they were meeting in joint session. And they debate whether in the House and the Senate, and it's a majority rules, that whether to challenge the objectors or sustain a challenge. Now in the House, because it is majority rules, we know how that will turn out. In the Senate, I don't know how it will turn out. In theory, you will either have you could have on January 6th, it's not clear whether you'll have a Republican majority. I think at most you will have 99 senators, if I'm correct about the seating of the senators from Georgia, assuming both senators in Georgia become, that the Republicans retain those seats. So I don't know how it's going to turn out. So let's say let's say it's a Republican Senate and they all vote to kick out electors from suspect states or refuse to consider them in the What happens then? You have the House saying one thing, the Senate saying another. How is that adjudicated? It's unclear. John Eastman suggests, is a great constitutional expert, just a great guy too. He suggests that the presiding officer, who would be the vice president, Mike Pence, he could make those decisions as to how that's adjudicated. And he also suggested maybe the Supreme Court comes in at that time to try to figure out what the law means. Now, the other possibility is that the state legislatures say, we can't send electors. And then, in theory, it could go to the House, and that process, if there aren't enough electors to put someone over 270, it goes to the House. And then in the House, that process is a state by state vote, a delegation by delegation vote. And because best as I understand it now, the Republicans control at least 26 delegations. So you could have the House pick President Trump in theory. Now, on the other hand, there's an interpretation, and well, maybe it's just the majority of electoral college votes. I don't know. That's the debate. Now, I raise all these issues because I want you to know that it ain't over yet, and you have an important role to play as a citizen and a voter, and which is to communicate with your elected officials about what your views are about how things have been going and what they should do. Call your state legislators. Obviously, if you live in the battleground states, there's an added level of urgency. And you should also call your members of Congress, and that goes beyond just the battleground states. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Ask your senators, what do they think? Ask your congressmen, what are they going to do? Ask your state legislators, what are they going to do? Where's the leadership from them? I want to know where the leadership is. We had Congressman Mo Brooks, who is a Republican from Alabama. He said the truth. He said, look, I'm going to be challenging these electors. He's going to make an objection. Not one senator has come forward to support that yet. So you need to focus on the Senate and ask them where they are. I'm not telling you what to say. You guys are big boys, big girls. You know what to say. You may even disagree with me. But the left media would have you believe it's out of your hands. It isn't out of your hands. You have a right to petition your government, a God-given right to petition your government, and dang nabbit, you better do it now. You better do it now. It's pretty clear we can't rely on the Justice Department to do anything. You had Attorney General Barr this week saying he didn't see any evidence of fraud in a way that would change the outcome of the election. I don't know what evidence he's looking at or who's he relying on, but that was a political statement. As I've described to you, it's up to the state legislators. It's up to Congress to decide whether there's enough fraud to challenge and change the outcome of the election. So Judicial Watch will do the heavy lifting. You've got, obviously, the Trump campaign doing its advocacy. Sidney Powell is out there, this lawyer. Lynn Wood is out there. Other groups, the Thomas More organization is out there doing some great work as well. There's all sorts of people behind the scenes. And, I urge you, people say, we should pray for President Trump. Of course, we should pray for President Trump. We should pray for Joe Biden, too. We should pray for everybody. But there are a lot of people behind the scenes who are doing excellent patriotic work, trying to ensure that these elections are subject to the rule of law. And you won't know their names. I mean, some of them work for Judicial Watch, but I know a lot of other folks who don't work that I've been talking to, and they get zero credit, and they're working themselves ragged to get the work done. And many of them are public, and if they're public, they get attacked viciously. And God bless these whistleblowers who have come forward, just regular Joes, regular Janes, coming forward to testify. To testify. And I use that word in the moral and legal sense about what they saw. God bless them.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.